Here's what you need to know about the 13-second public sale of the Illuminati NFT project, which is really cool if you haven't heard about it. So I'm William Glass, CEO and co-founder of Ostrich and host of Silicon Alley. For full transparency, I did mint 3 Illuminati NFTs, and I'll tell you why, but also why it was so successful. So if you're launching your own NFT project or interested in learning more about the space, then this video is for you. Before I jump in, if you don't know what an NFT is, it's a non-fungible token. Essentially, it's a digital asset that is secured on the blockchain. At any time, you can tell who owns it, you can trade it, transfer it. It's really cool. There's a lot of different use cases that are coming out, but the NFT project that Illuminati launched was an ERC 721 project, which just means all of the tokens, all of the artworks, the JPEGs are unique. So why they were so successful is for a number of reasons. The first thing that they did is they did a slow rollout. So unlike trying to build a bunch of hype and then having this one big day event, they phased out the process of their launch over 3 phases. From the time that they publicly announced phase 1 to the time that they actually did the art reveal was about a month. So from like December 6th, 7th to January 7th. The reason why this was successful is because it allowed them to build interest over time. So they didn't have to have this huge rush right away. They slowly built up momentum as the month progressed, and they did little things throughout the time to make sure they were going to be successful. The first thing is that the phases were pre-sales. And the way the pre-sales worked is that if you owned certain NFT projects, you had the opportunity to mint an Illuminati NFT. You could submit your wallet address, they'd verify that you actually owned that NFT, and then they would put you on the pre-sale list. And what's cool about this is that they started with the top, most expensive, buzziest projects to begin with. So Bored Ape Yacht Club, CryptoPunks, VeeFriends, and all of the folks that owned these NFTs had the chance to first mint. Now, they didn't have the whole month to do it. They had 48 hours. So it was still limited, which built on the anticipation, but also gave them a chance to get some of the top folks that own NFTs, have been in the space the longest, or just have big bankrolls, the opportunity to mint an Illuminati NFT. As each phase rolled out, they opened it up to more projects. So Mutant Ape Yacht Club and a bunch of others came next. And then the third phase was even more. And again, these were spread out throughout the month. So towards the beginning of the rollout, phase 1, and then there was a couple weeks, and then phase 2, and then right before the public launch mint was phase 3. The next thing that was really interesting about this is that if you were following the project, but you didn't own any of these NFTs, they still gave you a chance to mint. The way that you could mint was if you solved riddles or clues, they would open up minting to everyone for 23 minutes. So this happened about 2 or 3 times throughout the launch, that in between the phases, anyone publicly could mint an Illuminati NFT. What this did is it rewarded people that were interested in the project, but maybe just didn't have an NFT yet or couldn't afford one. And this was really cool. For me, I actually have a VeeFriends, so I was on the phase 1 mint list, but the public mint happened first, and so I actually minted using a different wallet that wasn't approved and was able to get an Illuminati NFT that way. And then what happened is that for phase 2, they told me, hey, you're still pre-approved because you're pre-approved for 1. So they gave folks that were maybe pre-approved but didn't mint during the first or second phase the opportunity to mint in subsequent phases. The next thing that they did is that they put phase 3 just before the public mint. It was about an 8-hour window, or maybe a 7-hour window from like noon Eastern until 7 p.m. And then they had an hour where they stopped any minting and then the public launch. So this allowed people, again, more and more projects, more and more interest, allowed people to get in just before the public sale, building up more hype, anticipation, and exclusivity for those that were able to get on the pre-sale list. Additionally, for phase 3, they opened it up to friends and family. And what I mean by that is if you already in the Discord, you already owned an Illuminati NFT, if you knew someone that wanted to join but didn't have those NFTs that you need in order to get on the pre-list, they allowed you to share the Google form and allow other friends and family to get involved. So this was really cool because it created this kind of referral word of mouth flywheel effect to get more people to mint ahead of the actual public sale. The next thing is that the project made sure that there wasn't one whale that swooped up everything. So they limited how much you could mint during the pre-sales so that someone didn't just buy up all of them and then try to flip them and all that kind of stuff and own all the supply. And the reason this is important is because the Illuminati NFT is actually going to be a DAO. And so they wanted to have a large number of token holders. And because of that, they were able to create this community. And there are a lot of people that own Illuminati NFTs across different wallets and different holders, which isn't always the case with some of these really hyped up projects. The next thing is that early on in the Discord, you could actually influence the artwork. So Process Gray already had majority of everything that he was going to do down, and that was really cool. So process had all that stuff from an artwork perspective. You got to see hints, but they opened it up early on in the first few weeks within the Discord to allow people to suggest different things. And some of the top community suggestions were actually incorporated into the artwork, which is really cool. Again, building more community and the fact actually you could influence the project itself. Doxed. That's the next piece, is that the creators actually put their real life identities out there. And this is really important because in this space right now, there's a lot of really well-intentioned people, but there's also a lot of people that aren't well-intentioned. And so by putting their own personal reputations on the line, they reduced the risk and created a sense of more support, right? Because you knew who's actually behind the project. You could go look up their companies, what they've done. But that also allowed those folks to bring in their networks, which was really cool because some of these people have been in the space for a long time and are part of some pretty cool projects already. The next thing is that, like a lot of projects, they don't always go perfect. And what I mean by that is when they first launched the contract, they realized that there was an error in it. And they had 187 people that had already minted. And so what they did is they owned the error. They stopped the minting to make sure that people didn't mint and end up with on the wrong contract because they realized they were going to have to change it. And what they did is to make up for those people is they left the ones that were minted already on that separate contract that was not set up properly for the DAO and everything else they needed to do, and created a gold essentially project. So there's 187 gold Illuminatis that you can't get anywhere else. And those people that had minted them were airdropped a token once they got the new contract set up. And so this creates trust because one, the team owned up to their mistake, and two, it actually created more value because now all of a sudden there's this even more exclusive set of NFTs that are part of Illuminati, and those folks that minted early were still rewarded for the fact that they were early with this extra NFT. The next thing is the art reveal was post-sellout. So after the public mint, there was about 4 days before the art reveal. And what this would have allowed if they hadn't sold out is the opportunity to create more buzz and demand leading up to the public art reveal so that they could actually sell out the project if they hadn't. Now, it turned out that that didn't happen. Instead, it ended up being just this really fun event for all of the holders. And when the art reveal happened, prices shot up and you got to see the different rarities and what everyone got, which was a lot of fun. So putting the art reveal a few days after the public mint was really a cool way to, again, build more anticipation and community. The next thing that they did really well is that they were on brand with all their communications. The Illuminati is the secret society and folklore and all that, right, throughout history. And so they really played into that. The Twitter handle was @truth, and the Discord, every communication was puzzles and riddles and had that Illuminati secret society vibe. And so they did a really, really good job of leaning into the branding. And I think that's something that really sets them apart and also created more community because you felt like you were part of this secret group and group of people that were, controlling the world. They used numerology and all sorts of things from history and brought that into the project and created this really strong brand. The next thing that they did is they created additional value for holders. So they again limited it so that there would be a lot of different holders, but they also gave you an incentive to mint more than one. So if you had one Illuminati, you were going to get some reward, some extra thing. If you had 5, you were going to get something else. And as they got closer to the mint, they realized that might price some people out. So they created a third tier at 3. And so by doing that, they incentivized people to mint more than one and try to get to 3 or 5 so they could get this extra kind of gift, which ended up being, well, I can't tell you because if you're not part of the Illuminati, then you don't know. And then the last piece, which is the most important, is that they executed. It was solid execution throughout the process between the entire team. And I think that that's really critical because you can have the best laid plans, but if you don't actually execute on your strategy, on your plans, and have everyone working together, it doesn't matter how great your artwork is or how great you think the team is. If you don't execute, it doesn't matter. And so the team did a really good job of executing. So going into the public sale, there was only about maybe 3,000 left. I think even less than that were to mint. And so that's part of the reason why it was so easy to sell out. Because one, you had all of these things working. They created this community, this brand, this really cool hype and momentum around this project. And they limited it throughout the process. That's why they were able to sell out in 13 seconds, is that they had created this brand, this community, and this hype so that going into the actual public sale, there was only about 2,300, maybe 3,000 max NFTs to sell. So there was already this demand, there was this interest, and there was already a limited supply out of the 8123, 8128 tokens that existed. So as you can see, there's a lot of factors that played into their success, but really it just comes down to putting everything together and solidly executing. So I hope that you enjoyed this video. If you did, please go ahead and subscribe on YouTube or audio if that's where you're listening to this. And Ostrich is actually going to be launching an NFT project soon, which I'm excited to announce. More details to come, the early bird ostriches, but you can follow me to learn more about that. And you can follow Ostrich, THE Ostrich app on all the social media platforms at the Ostrich app. And yeah, you'll get notified when that drops. And if you haven't already, go ahead and download the mobile app that helps you achieve your financial goals. It's a really awesome tool and experience. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you so much. Have a good day. Are you interested in growing and scaling your business? Welcome to the Silicon Alley Podcast, where you'll hear from entrepreneurs, venture capitalists, and top performers on what it truly takes to grow and scale a business. You'll walk away with actionable insights you can apply in your own business and life.